This video is going to be about the dangers of religion. Now, this is much different than why religion is wrong. We're not going to be talking about that. We're not going to be discussing why religion is wrong or it's incorrect, because I'm assuming that the majority of my subscribers already realize that the view of reality that religion puts forth is false. We're not discussing why it's wrong, we're discussing why it is dangerous, why it is a bad thing. This needs to be brought up because I'm hearing a lot of comments saying things like, yeah, I don't believe in religion, but it's still a fine thing. You know, if someone wants to believe in religion, it can even be a good thing because it gives their life purpose, or it makes them feel better, it gives them a set of rules to be a better person, etc., etc. It's fine if other people want to believe religion, it's just not for me. I'm talking about this because religion is dangerous. It's not an okay thing whatsoever, and it needs to be brought to the public's attention and awareness that religion is a very dangerous thing and it's not okay. So we're going to be talking about various reasons why religion is harmful. Now, my examples are going to be mostly relegated to Christianity. The general concepts that I'm speaking about are applicable to a wide range of religions. Why is religion dangerous? There's a few different reasons. Well, one, it promotes violence. It's very, very violent. It promotes intolerance. It promotes a master-slave mentality. It makes children feel bad about themselves and terrified of imaginary concepts like hell. It causes children to stop looking for answers. It makes people unable to think rationally and logically. Now, these are just a few reasons. There's many, many reasons why it is harmful, but I'm going to discuss these particular ones because, you know, this video would be a few days long if I went through each and every reason why religion is dangerous, and we're going to make it nice and concise. So let's see, it promotes violence. Religion, particularly Christianity, is very violent. The Old Testament is filled with acts of violence. And we're just going to look at a couple of them right here. Let's see. Well, God drowned the entire world population, except for Noah and his family. He killed everyone. Everybody. Drowned them all. Genesis 6:7. And the Lord said, I will destroy man, whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them. Killed everybody, except for Noah and his family. Let's see, what else? Here's a good one. God tests his servant Abraham by commanding him to offer his son Isaac as a sacrifice. He asked his servant Abraham to kill his son Isaac. Now, granted, in the end, God prevented him from doing so, but it got to the point where Abraham was raising the knife, about to kill his own son. Then God said, take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you. Genesis 22:2. Yes, God stopped him in the end, but do you realize that this is taught to people within the Christian religion as a good thing? This is highlighted as a supreme act of faith, and that we should all have as much faith as Abraham. That we should all have so much faith that we would be willing to kill our children if God commanded it. Now, this is just insane. If there was some mental person hearing voices in their head claiming to be God, telling them to kill their children, we certainly wouldn't tolerate it, and we shouldn't allow a religion to teach that this is an okay thing. Not only an okay thing, but something that one should strive for. Let's see what else. God has every firstborn son in Egypt killed. Yes. Yes, let's kill the children. Every firstborn son in Egypt will die, from the firstborn son of Pharaoh who sits on the throne, to the firstborn son of the female slave who is at her handmill, and all the firstborn of the cattle as well. Exodus 11:5. Yes, even the cattle. Yes, don't forget the cattle. They gotta go. Let's see. This is what the Lord Almighty says. I will punish the Amalekites for what they did to Israel when they waylaid them as they came up from Egypt. Now go attack the Amalekites and totally destroy all that belongs to them. Do not spare them. Put to death men and women, children and infants, cattle and sheep, camels and donkeys. 1 Samuel 15:2-3. Here's another. Let's see. The people of Samaria must bear their guilt because they have rebelled against their God. They will fall by the sword. Their little ones will be dashed to the ground. Their pregnant women ripped open. Hosea 13:16. There's an extreme amount of violence in the Old Testament that's deemed as okay, that this is fine. Now, look, when we have things happening in the world like Hitler and the Nazis going around killing people, do we tolerate that? No, we do not, and we should not. We can't be saying, oh yeah, let's respect everyone's belief. Do we respect the beliefs of the Nazis? No, we should not respect the beliefs of Nazis. That's not good. So, tell me, why do we respect beliefs of people who believe in a homicidal maniac killing women and children and cattle? Everything, just left and right. Why is that acceptable? Why is that okay? A homicidal maniac, just because he's called God, he's allowed to, kill countless people, the entire world population except for one family. Why is that okay? Why do we tolerate this? Now, of course, we know that God doesn't exist and this didn't actually happen, but that's not the point. The point is that we are allowing this to perpetuate psychologically in the minds of people. They are thinking that this is okay, and they will base their worldview and actions around this. It doesn't matter if it actually happened or not. To the people who believe it, psychologically, it's true for them. Why should we tolerate the violence and killings and murders of a psychopath just because he calls himself God? No. No. Again, we do not tolerate the Nazis. We should not tolerate God. Alright, so let's move on, shall we? It promotes intolerance. Yes, very much so. Let's see. Sexism and homophobia is rife in the Bible. Let's see, what do we have? Okay, here's a good one. If a man has sexual relations with a man, as one does with a woman, both of them have done what is detestable. They are to be put to death. Their blood will be on their own heads. Leviticus 20:13. So yes, again, some more violence coupled with homophobia. Kill all the gay people. So it says in Leviticus. Let's see. Sexism. This is advice from St. Paul. A woman should learn in quietness and full submission. I do not permit a woman to teach or to assume authority over a man. She must be quiet. For Adam was formed first, then Eve. And Adam was not the one deceived. It was the woman who was deceived and became a sinner. But women will be saved through childbearing, if they continue in faith, love, and holiness with propriety. 1 Timothy 2:11-15. And here's another. Wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands, as you do to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body, of which he is the Savior. Now as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit to their husbands in everything. Ephesians 5:22-24. Lots of sexism, lots of homophobia. This is not okay. The Bible promotes intolerance. This is where people need to get their heads out of their asses, because they're saying we should tolerate everyone's beliefs. This is an intolerant belief. This system is intolerant. We should not tolerate intolerance. Again, we don't tolerate things that are intolerant. That is contradictory. We don't tolerate a belief if that belief is itself intolerant. If you're saying homosexuals should be killed, we're not going to tolerate your belief. We're not going to tolerate you who are intolerant. So let's get that clear, because I'm hearing a lot of people saying, well, you should tolerate everyone's belief. You're such an intolerant person. Well, no shit. I'm very intolerant when it comes to disgusting, homophobic, sexist beliefs. Yes, I am proud to say I am intolerant of that. Now we're just going to go over this one very briefly, even though it's arguably one of the most important points. A master-slave mentality is when there is someone who is the master, and then below them are the slaves, and the slaves live to please the master. And this is what the Bible promotes. It promotes that a system where you're not living for yourself. Life isn't about you. Life is about pleasing, loving, and worshiping God. That's what it's taught in the Bible. Don't live for yourself, but live a life that is pleasing to the Lord. That your life should be about loving, worshiping, and pleasing God. And this is very dangerous, because now you're no longer living a life about you. And you're not trying to be the best version of yourself that you can be. You're not striving to become better. You're not striving to become smarter. And instead, your life, your main objective in life is to please God and love God. And that totally shifts focus away from you onto another entity. And that's the whole point of the master-slave mentality, is it creates this psychological system where there's the mass of slaves and submissives, and above them is the entity that is the master, and the slave's purpose is to please and live for the master. That's very dangerous. Psychologically, this leaks outside of religion and affects everything. It affects our culture. You can see master-slave systems everywhere in the culture, just from, the 1% rich elite ruling over the 99% in celebrity, how people worship celebrities and Hollywood. You can just see it everywhere, where people have this master-slave mentality, where there is a certain class of people that are the masters, and then there's another class of people who are the slaves, who live to worship and look up to the masters. This needs to be eradicated. Life needs to be about focusing on you and becoming the best version of you that you can be, to constantly be rising up and getting better and better, not to always be living in submission to someone that you feel is superior to you. You should be intent on making yourself the best and the most powerful. Now I can go on and on about this. This is extremely important, but it starts leaking into other areas of life and many other points. So I'm gonna just briefly describe that one. But let's go over another one here. It makes children feel bad about themselves. Yes, it makes children feel very, very bad about themselves, because you tell them that they are flawed and inherently sinful, that they need to live a life pleasing to God and look for forgiveness. And I was terrified as a child. I grew up in a Christian household. I was terrified of sin and being sinful and doing wrong things and displeasing God. I constantly felt like a sinner, like I was bad, and that there was something wrong with me. I constantly felt that. Also, it makes children feel terrified of imaginary concepts like hell and demons. I was terrified of the concept of hell. This is psychologically damaging to a child, to tell them that if they get something wrong, that they're going to go to hell and burn and be tortured for eternity. This is terrifying. As a child, I spent many sleepless nights, indescribable fear of these kinds of things. Christianity is child abuse. I am very serious when I say that. It is child abuse. It also causes children to stop looking for answers. When children are at a crucial stage of development, they're trying to figure out the world around them, they ask questions like, oh, where did we come from? How did we get here? What is life about? And religion It gives them an answer. It says God. And it's a completely terrible answer, but children don't really know any better at that age, and they just take it in. They mentally download that, and that fills up the gap in their mind that's looking for an answer with an answer, a totally bullshit answer, but an answer. So then the child integrates that, and then they no longer search. They're no longer looking for answers or questioning because they have the answer already. It's a bullshit one, but they have it. And this stays with them as they mature into adulthood, and because it was implanted at such an early age, it is ingrained. It cannot be removed except for with very extreme effort. So, that's very damaging. We're going to look at one more that I think is an incredibly important point, and that is it makes people unable to think rationally and logically. Again, you're taught these things as a child. A child is taught that these things are true and factual, and they are taught things that are highly illogical and irrational. They are taught that people can be raised from the dead, that donkeys can talk, that people can walk on water, that God created the universe in 7 days. Crazy things these children are taught, but they're taught it as though it is true. And when you are taught that these irrational things are possible, it completely destroys your ability to think logically and rationally. You can no longer carry on logical sequences within your mind. You hold on to contradictory beliefs. Things that are completely contradictory to each other are still believed because they don't have the capability of rationalizing to see that there must be an error. And if you've ever tried to argue or have a discussion with a highly religious person, you've probably noticed this yourself. You've probably tried to point out illogical errors in their reasoning, and it completely goes over them. They can't see it. They don't see that they hold contradictory beliefs, and it's almost impossible to have a rational discussion with highly religious people because they have lost the ability to reason. I could go on so much more. I say Christianity is child abuse. Religion is highly dangerous. Again, all these examples, most of them were about Christianity, but the general concepts can apply to a wide range of religions. It's extremely violent and intolerant. We need to stop tolerating intolerance. We didn't tolerate the Nazis, and we should not tolerate violent, dangerous, sexist, homophobic, irrational, destructive, abusive beliefs. The things we should tolerate are beliefs that are tolerant, letting each other be free to be who we are and become the best versions of who we could be, to constantly strive to become better and create a better world. Do not tolerate intolerance. Christianity, religion, is very dangerous and destructive. I hope I have made it apparent why I am so against mainstream religion and why I think it should be eradicated. Well, there we go. That's it. That's my video. Enjoy your day. Many more to come. Please continue to subscribe, my friends.